Hello everyone, and welcome to Outlining for NaNoWriMo 2021. For those of you that are unaware, NaNoWriMo, or National Novel Writing Month, is when in the month of November, writers, storytellers, both amateur, young, and veterans come together and have the challenge or the goal, depending on how you view it, of writing through the course of November, the 30 days of November, writing a story, or that is 50,000 words, or writing 50,000 words of a story. The idea is that you prep beforehand, so that your prep and work is already done, and so that's not counting towards it. And during the month of November, you write those 50,000 words or more, trying to exceed it. There's a website. NaNoWriMo is a not-for-profit organization that provides writing and storytelling resources, particularly to young or new writers. I'll link their website down below in the description for those of you that want to check that out. 2021 will be my first time attempting to go all the way through. Last year I joined a little bit late and wrote about 16,000 words in about 13 days. I wasn't able to be as consistent, and with the late start, my 2020 challenge fell short. But this year the goal is to do the full 30 days and to hit my target by the end of the month. Last year, over the 13 days, I averaged would have been about 1,200 words a day over those 13 days that I was writing. To hit the 50K mark, it needs to be closer to 1,800 to 2,000 words a day. And that's writing every single day. So the challenge is a little bit ambitious for people that aren't as disciplined or used to writing consistently every single day, but it is certainly doable. But today, we're going to start outlining the project for this year's Nano Challenge. For me, this is going to be looking at book 2 in a planned series that I have. Book 1 has been in draft form for over a year now. I have been working through multiple edits and revisions, multiple drafts we've gone through, and it's going through that heavy revision process right now. So that's not one that would be super conducive to a Nano Challenge because most of the actual writing has been done. So this year is going to be focusing on book 2, the sequel. Even though the first book isn't completed, I know where it ends, and I know where book 2 has to start. And luckily I have the parameters of knowing exactly where book 1 ends and where book 2 has to start, and then a definitive endpoint for book 2. So I have those constraints. And that's really, really helpful for me because I like to have a decent amount of a plan going into a brand new project. Even if I've done some prep already, having those type parameters are really helpful because then everything in the middle can fall into place and I can mix and match, move things around, play around with structure, formatting, style, pacing, as long as I have a good start point and a good end point. And I know those from the get-go. Today we're going to start the outline process. I have a few notes from old projects and ideas about this book. It's very loose. I have the startings of a few chapters for this one, but almost all that's going to get scrapped. None of that gets to count towards the 50K mark for Nano. The actual challenge for National Novel Writing Month begins next week, so we're getting really close to it. But join me today as we start outlining, we start prepping, and hopefully we will be in a great point before this weekend ends so that the start next week, Monday, November 1st, we will kick off the Nano Challenge of 2021. Right, so we are partway into day 1 of outlining. A lot of this has been working with what I already had and bringing it back into focus, figuring out pacing of events, what events have to occur, which events I thought were important, which ones might not be as significant. It has been just a lot of kind of recalling and remembering. This is a early draft of a story that I haven't actually worked on for several months. So the process of bringing it back into focus has been a lot of what this kind of first chunk of outlining has been. Some refining has happened. The start of the book was heavily influenced by a dramatic kind of reworking I had in the first book. The end point in the first book was shifted pretty significantly. I went from having a kind of a lull, kind of slow pace out of the first book to a very hard stop with a cliffhanger. And that came about due to kind of a realization that the first book was being told at the wrong pace. It needed to be focusing on a different story rather than the one that I originally wanted. And so that ushered in a whole series of revisions, re-edits, a total reorganization of the entire second half of the book. And that was done after I had started working on an early draft of book 2. So all that to say, book 1 got heavy revisions and edits, which are now carrying over to this shift that I'm seeing in the draft of book 2. The book starts right after a cliffhanger in book 1. The main character's in a very tenuous situation, a very high stakes situation, and then goes into a time shift. There's a jump forward where a bunch of things have to happen, and that's kind of being reorganized, remembered through a couple different ways. And so that will be interesting in terms of pacing, as this will be kind of a new experience for me, having pretty significant events happen over a long period of time that have to be explained to the reader. And it can't just be exposition, because that's a really easy way to lose a reader right away. And my grasp on my own craft within recalling time is not nearly at the level of where I can use exposition to keep someone's interest in the same way. So I'm gonna have to walk that line of explaining what happened, showing what happened, and then as the current narrative is progressing, fill in those details as they're relevant. So that'll be a big shift in the first part of this book. I have it divided into the first half and the second half, where the first half is going to be a split between wrapping up the stakes of book 1 from where they left off, the time jump, and then getting the reader up to speed with where everything is as it starts to gain momentum and steam into the arc of book 2. So that has to be both concise to not drag on for too long, and it also needs to be thorough in that there's a lot of significance that happens in there, both for the reader and the pacing of the book, and for the characters within the story. Those have to be taken and given their own significant influence and that proper amount of time for the story to be told. So that's kind of been the focus of the first half of the outlining. We're still kind of honing and paring that down a little bit. And going into the rest of today, we'll be focusing on outlining the rest of that, starting to look at some outline of book 2. And so we'll see how much progress we can make into that before the rest of this weekend is focusing on the wrapping up of the outline, so that the actual writing of book 2 of this series can start beginning of the month. All right, here we are, day 2 of outlining. We're gonna just jump right in. The task for today is to finish outlining, detailed at least through the first half of what I'm working on. Second half is gonna be less of a priority, but the first half should be getting done today. So the last of our work will be finishing that up. So here we are, the end of day 2 of outlining. We are in a great spot leading into the start of the month. On Monday, it's on the weekend, the last weekend in October, and on Monday, NaNoWriMo 2021 begins. I'm actually excited for it to be kicking off on a Monday. I like having things start at the beginning of the week. Feels like everything can get right into gear. We just hit the ground running and starting the week off with an actual task to accomplish, a significant deadline, and an actual marker to start showing progress. It's a great way, and a way that I really love to start the week. So I'm excited about it. I am excited for this year's challenge. I am ready to begin. The outlining got me thinking of so many good ideas, so many ways to get started. I like having progress. I have a clear idea of what things have to happen. I have an idea of the pacing. All of that can change. All things can be adjusted as we go. But Monday, this starts. I will be posting updates through social media. Intermittently, probably not super often, but we'll see. That might change. So you can follow along. I'll be posting mostly on Instagram, might be doing a little bit on Twitter and other social media sites. This video will hopefully be going up within the first week. So hopefully it's not too delayed of the actual start of the month. But you guys can follow along. I will also be doing more significant updates through the month. I will hopefully do either a halfway or partway update, either at or around the 15th of the month. Chronologically halfway through, or once we hit the halfway point on the word count, getting close to that 25K mark. So either that will be motivation for me to hit that earlier rather than later, or it'll help me get right into gear as we go. But thank you guys for following along. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys are doing your own nano challenge, if you're following along, if you're excited, if you want to start, if you're looking for more resources. Like I said, I'll be posting links to the actual NaNoWriMo resource page and their website down in the comments. But thank you guys for following along. I'm so glad that you're here. And remember that your story is yours and it's up to you to decide how I'm going to share it. See you next time.